Today we are going to be debating on whether students should have freedom of speech in public schools. I will be debating on the side that students should not.
And I will be supporting the side that students should. So I believe students in public schools should have the right to freedom of speech. Just because you're walking into a school does not mean your First Amendment right should be limited or taken away from you. I believe that teachers and administrators are given too much power in determining what defines appropriate behavior, such as a dress code. Courts have long said that public school officials can regulate or even ban protests because they're viewed as disruptive. But nowadays, not all protests can be considered disruptive, especially if they're done in a peaceful manner or can express pure speech.
The last point you brought up, protests being disruptive, they may not be destructive in a sense, but they can be distracting to the students and faculty, which can cause problems for the school day in general. And then just a general, bullying is a huge issue in schools nowadays, and a lot of bullying, I feel, has led to school shootings, like Parkland, Columbine, which was way back, but they've still been around and they're still at large and they're still happening. Just in since 2018 started, there have been 23 school shootings. That's on average more than one per week. And I feel like this is an epidemic that needs to be stopped, and I feel like bullying is one of the leading causes that fuels it.
Now, going off of the bullying, bullying is a very big issue, and a lot of bullying comes from social media, which is online. It's on your phone, it's on computers. So whether you have freedom of speech in school or not, that part is sadly still going to happen because it's part of our society. And the point I'm trying to make is that they should have freedom of speech because the shootings are happening. And just like the National School Walkout that happened this year, students are trying to step up and take control of what happens to them and what happens to their future. And this is why they should have freedom of speech.
With that though, it can lead to very controversial topics, which again can distract students and kind of wean them off the track that they're supposed to be on, doing their work and getting an education for themselves and creating a better life for themselves in general. One big thing, which was actually brought up by our lovely teacher, Professor Little, was that at Delaware Academy about 8 or 10 years ago, a bunch of students created a book that were completely bashing every single teacher and in the school. And these students decided to make copies of the book and eventually hand them out. And to me, this is slander. This is defamation of character. This is bullying at its finest. And they were bullying adults. They were coming after the adults that were meant to teach them and to help them and guide them. And they completely disregarded that entire thing and then just decided to completely bash on them. And that's slander. That's bullying. But they were expressing their First Amendment right, their freedom of speech. However, when that's the case, that's not freedom of speech, that's defamation of character, that's slander.
I see where you're coming from, but there are always going to be people and there are always going to be students who are going to do things like that, but I still feel like students should have the right to express themselves. That was, of course, not an appropriate way to do it, but there's more topics nowadays that students should support and talk about, just like the shootings and politics. Students nowadays are getting into it more and more because it's affecting their future, it's affecting the world they're going to come into, it's going to affect the jobs they're going to have in the future. So that stuff's going to happen. Either way, you're always going to have those types of kids, but students should still be able to express themselves and control their future.
Yes, but along with that, I don't disagree with that, but there needs to be limitations. Like what happened at Delaware Academy, something should have been done if there wasn't anything done. I'm sure there was something done about it, but there are many cases where there's absolutely nothing done. I had a bullying case at my high school, and there was nothing done about it till 4 or 5 years after. And then the school ended up losing $1 million because the principal couldn't control the kids that were bullying this student. The principal didn't do anything about it. He didn't limit anything. He didn't limit what they were saying. He didn't do absolutely anything about that. And I feel like that's a huge issue, that there's many principals, administrative people, teachers that see what's going on but don't actually do anything about it because they're scared of what the outcome will be. However, these limitations need to be there, because then it's going to continue to be that cycle of teachers and administrators and principals not doing anything, because in a way they're fearful of what might happen if they do say anything. Either that child's parent might come after them, or something huge will come up and it'll end up being like a court case or something, when it doesn't need to be like that. If they just put those rules in there originally, all of that could be avoided. I'm not saying that freedom of speech should be gone completely from public schools, but limitations do need to be made. People need to watch what they say, because if you say something and somebody might not like it, that person will do whatever they want to do. Like, if I say something offensive, maybe to like another race or anything, I can possibly get beat up because of what I said, and that's just going to happen. But if these limitations are put and there's punishments made if those comments or anything are made, then we could possibly stop or start to slow down that like way of thinking.
Limitations are completely understood. There's always a place for them, but I strongly feel that they should definitely be expanded, as in giving kids more freedom. Society is changing, the world is changing, and a lot of horrific things are happening. Kids nowadays need to step up more than ever to support what they believe in and what they stand for. And you can't talk about politics, you can't talk about your religion or anything you believe in schools, because anybody could find it offensive. But these regulations are almost degrading who they are as a person by not letting them express that, not letting them wear certain shirts that support certain communities or support certain politics or what they believe in. And that's your freedom of speech being limited and your freedom of speech being taken away from you. And I don't agree with that.